wisdom doesn't arrive as a lightning bolt. It creeps in quietly, disguised as those moments when life feels too heavy or too loud, and we realize something has to shift. Welcome to the Mindful Journey. I'm your host, Anya, and today's conversation is about that shift, the bridge between wellness and wisdom. My guest is known for this bridge, from feeling overwhelmed, demotivated, and disconnected to discovering the transformative power of self realization. She has walked the long, winding road from survival to alignment. Through her work with Realize, the Realization Hub, and Realization Catalyst, she helps others do the same, moving beyond coping into a life that feels deeply authentic, intentional, and alive. So let's talk about what it really takes to merge inner wellness with lasting wisdom, and why that connection might be the key to everything we are searching for. Welcome to the show, Florence. It's an honor to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Anya. Very happy to be here.
Yeah. So, what does wisdom mean to you in the context of personal wellness?
Well, for the longest time, I believed that wisdom was something cumulative that came with years and years of experience of life. And on this journey, I found out that in truth, wisdom was a part of who we are. And we being wise has more to do with having enough grounding and enough serenity to hear the wisdom coming from us than it has to do with accumulating experiences over time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do you think wisdom is something we are born with and lose over time, or something we have to cultivate through lived experience?
Well, you know how they say the truth comes out of mouth of babes? Well, I see that a lot of young children oftentimes, and I think it's not just my observation, it's fairly commonplace that children demonstrate wisdom beyond what we consider beyond their years, and I think we all are born with that connection to wisdom. Ultimately, what happens is that because we don't have clarity around how our mind works, our mind becomes cluttered with all sorts of considerations and ideas. We load up our schedules. We are surrounded by constant distractions and things pulling our attention day in, day out. And we lose touch from that wisdom. It's a friend of mine, Becky Nichols, a great therapist and coach. She put it that way. She said that wisdom is like a gentle flute, and the noise of the world is like this big, noisy band, whether it's a big jazz band or heavy metal, whatever your flavor is. And yeah, it can be fun to get lost in that noise and enjoy the richness of it. But unless we step away from it consciously, we're not going to be able to hear that gentle, quieter flute that is the voice of our wisdom.
I love that perspective. It makes me think about how we often confuse information with wisdom. They
Mhm.
are not the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's oftentimes the matter is, well, how do I differentiate one from the other? And I think information belongs more to the world of the intellect, and it has its merits for sure. Whereas wisdom is in connection to our intuition. And oftentimes, when we are dealing with information, we can easily fall into that information overload when the mind just keeps on accelerating. And that's when we experience sometimes frustration or irritation, overwhelm. It might even go into anxiety or depression, depending on how we're reacting to it. But ultimately, when we do pump the brakes, when we slow down and ground ourselves into the moment, reach back to our innate, quiet, peaceful self, then again, that wisdom resurfaces. And here we are. We get prompts, we get hunches, we get gut gut feelings, and it might not be necessarily easy things for us to hear, but oftentimes they come accompanied with a sense of clarity, a sense of spaciousness, or a renewed energy. Because well, now I know deep in my gut what I need to do or what I ought to say. It feels right. It feels true.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And you have described self realization as your antidote to stagnation.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through a moment where that truth really hit home for you?
Um, well, there have been, there are those hinge moments in life where you're in between careers or in between homes, or there's those really um, fateful in between moments in life. And on several of those occasions, I have been feeling overwhelmed with, well, what can I do? What should I go? What's the next step? And and I would see that the more I was trying to collect information, maybe looking for advice from people or consulting experts, doing some research here or there on the internet, it just felt so overwhelming. And oftentimes the problem was that some of the input was contradictory, which made things even more confusing. So I found that time and time again in those hinge moments, in those in-betweens, what really got me out of the pickle, what served me the best was when suddenly I had that need to settle down, sleep over it if need be, or just go for a walk. Those prompts to make things slow down and catch a breath were what gave me that, let's say, that desire to take the next step. And what I find is that the more overwhelmed with information I got, the more prompt to being paralyzed I would get. On the other hand, when I did slow down and catch my breath, what just one simple idea, one simple step might come to mind, and then there was something initiated. Then I was ready to be more active. So that's why I believe that self realization, which is the allowing the unfolding of wisdom, is a remedy to stagnation. Because ultimately, when we hear that inner prompt coming through, it moves us forward. It really supports us in taking action and in changing things. Whereas when we get caught up into all the noise of our thinking, when we get caught up into all that information collection, then we're more likely to stay stuck, to feel stuck, to think of ourselves as stuck.
Mm-hmm. Right, makes sense. And was there resistance in that moment? Maybe a part of you that didn't want to change yet?
Certainly. And the resistance also comes from a habit of the habit of wanting to do more when we don't like, I don't know, whether I don't like a situation I'm in. It looks like that rehashing in my mind of something is going to lead me to a solution. It's going to lead me to an action step, when really it doesn't. It just drains the energy. It just leaves me feeling exhausted and depleted. Whereas the catching your breath, even though resist that initially because it looks like, oh no, I got to get moving, do more, push through. w- when finally this initial resistance is dropped and surrendered, then wisdom comes through, then possibilities surface, and that's when again it's possible, it's it's we're capable, I was capable of deciding where to go next, what to do next, and to feel better about it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of listeners will relate to that pull and push, knowing they need change but still clinging to what's familiar.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that's surprising, but also that we all experience on some level. The familiar, even though it might not be enjoyable, is still something that feels safe. And a lot of the way we're thinking is geared towards our survival. And so survival and safe goes hand in hand. But the only place where we are likely to move away from those old ways of thinking, of these old patterns, is coming back to our innate core self, to our true self, from which we will have insights of fresh perspectives, where we will gather some new energy to overcome the past, to overcome the initial discomfort of stepping into what is unfamiliar.
Yeah. And emotional resilience is a big part of your work. Do you see resilience as something we build through practice or something we uncover by removing what blocks it?
It looks to me that resilience is something that comes to us naturally when, like you were saying, we remove the blocks of our old thinking. Old thinking tends to bring rigidity, and resilience is really a practice in flexibility. When something occurs that we were not prepared for, that might even look at first sight as something detrimental, if we're stuck into our rigid old thinking, then we tend to brace ourselves, create more tension, and the blow is likely to hurt even more. Whereas when we're relaxed and confident that, well, yeah, stuff happens, but I'll be okay. On the other side, there's something to learn. On the other side, there's going to be another sunrise. So when we live from that place of confidence and let our natural ability to adjust, our natural ability to integrate, then resilience is the result of letting our fresh perspectives and open-mindedness in exercise.
100%. And how do you help people differentiate between true resilience and just pushing through burnout?
All it takes is for them to take a moment to really be present to what's going on for them. How are they feeling in their body? What kind of thoughts are moving through their mind? And for them also to make a distinction between the thoughts passing through their mind and the person, the observer, the entity who is capable of observing these thoughts. The moment they are seeing that space between the two, between their core self, their true self, and their ego self, the accumulation of all their thinking, when they really see it for themselves from their own insight, quite naturally, the blocks are being dropped. They dissolve, and then they recapture that innate well-being. They reclaim a sense of wellness, of peace, of serenity.
That's so important because being strong is often mistaken for being well, when those two can be very different states.
Yeah, I think the feeling strong can be two things. We can feel strong from, again, that kind of bracing yourself and motivate yourself with a certain jargon, with a certain language and pushing, or we can feel strong because we're rooted in a natural confidence. Again, that knowing that we are okay. We've always been okay and we will always be okay, no matter what shows up. When we have that real confidence and that openness to rolling with whatever comes in the way that it comes, it just allows for strength to really show up and help us along the way when we do need to put effort, where we do need to show up in courageous ways.
Yeah. And some might say focusing too much on inner work risks pulling away from engaging with the real world and its problems.
Mhm.
How would you respond to that?
I agree. It's true that the inner work, quote unquote, can become a purely mental exercise. And in that case, that's when that disconnect happens. In order for us to be truly connected with the world and truly connected with other people, we have to be rooted into that core self, into presence, into the moment. If I'm over there caught up into my thinking, what I am interacting with is just that, my thinking. Whereas if I am really here and now, and grounded, then I am in a true interaction with the world. So, yes, I really think that when inner work is done only from the intellect and for the intellect, it does cost us our connection. Whereas when we really bring our heart back into our practice, that's where it really makes a difference. I know that I've done it many times. I would find myself on my yoga mat or even sitting in the park wanting to catch my breath, and I was talking myself through it mentally, but I wasn't feeling it because I wasn't really showing up fully in the moment. And over time, whenever I wasn't realizing that right away, I could feel that not only was there a disconnection, but there was a form of depletion. So when finally I realized that, oh, that's because I am going through the motions of it. It's like I'm ticking boxes off my to-do list, like walk, check, sit on the yoga mat, check, go through poses, check. It didn't have at all the same effect as really being there, being connected to breath, being in the sensation of the moment, letting go of what happened earlier the day, letting go of what's going to happen later that day. It That's when I really see that there is a reset where there's um a regenerative aspect to the practice. That's when the practice is heartfelt, whatever the practice might be, whether it's just doing 3 deep breaths in between 2 phone calls or being on a yoga mat for whatever amount of time, when we really show up for it and connect with the innate well-being, with our peace, with our goodness, When we really connect with that, the sky becomes the limit. But it's very easy to and just do it um, with with mm, with being caught up into our head at the same time.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And do you ever advise clients to stop self examining and just do something, even if they don't feel ready?
It's really case by case, but I'd say that 100% of the time, what gets us in trouble is the quality of our thinking. Either our thinking again is just a rehash of old things and spinning out of control, or our attention is in the moment, grounded into core self, and then utilizing the thinking tool more efficiently. So, depending on what the person comes up with and where they are, it always is their observing of what's going on in their mental space that enables them to disrupt whatever experience is happening in that moment. If they're feeling anxious and they're seeing that they are they are focusing their attention on something stressful, and that instead of allowing for that thinking to unfold or dissolve, they're like pushing a painful button, and that is just going to cause even more anxiety. But the moment they see, oh, okay, so I'm just spinning my wheels on this particular thing, but if I look at it more neutrally, I can see that maybe there's something I can prepare, or there's something that I can do, or I can just let it go. Because right now there's nothing I can do about it. So I might as well just let it be.
Mm-hmm, that's interesting because I've seen both extremes, people lost in self analysis and people avoiding it altogether.
Mhm.
There's probably a balance somewhere in between.
Yes. Well, you're exactly right. Everything comes, every good thing comes with balance. And the, the, the lack of observation, it's not so much about analyzing to death what's on our mind, because that can again become detrimental. If I spend a lot of time pushing the button of what's painful for me, then I'm going to be experience suffering. But the avoidance altogether is detrimental, of course. Now, when we do take the time to observe and take the time um, to check in with ourselves, it's important to again create that space between ourselves, mm, I, and the thinking that is happening. And it's not so much the analyzing the where is it coming from and why do I have it, and it's just seeing that it's there. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling anxious. What is this all about? Oh, I have all these things on my mind, all these tasks, all these responsibilities. Okay, what is the thing here? Oh, well, maybe I am tiring myself out because I keep on repeating to myself that I don't have the time to do all this. But while I'm busy telling myself I don't have the time to do all this, well, guess what? I'm losing and wasting a lot of my time and energy with that particular parasite thought. So once I notice that thought, it's easier then to dismiss it because this one is just not useful. But if it comes to, well, there are these particular tasks that have to be taken care of today, now that I see with more clarity that, yes, these have to be tended to, then it becomes more, I become more effective at organizing them in a way that makes sense. And that allows me to optimize the use of my time.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And what I take from this conversation is that wellness isn't just about feeling good, and wisdom isn't just about knowing things.
Mhm.
They're about living well, with clarity, intention, and a willingness to meet ourselves honestly, even when it's uncomfortable. My guest reminds us that transformation isn't a single leap, it's a series of small, brave choices to keep showing up for our growth. If you are listening and feeling that nudge to reconnect with yourself, maybe this is your invitation. Not to overhaul everything overnight, but to start paying attention to your thoughts, your patterns, and the quiet wisdom that's been there all along.